So I kid you not, my wife goes into labor, and that very same night, like we're going to the hospital, and I get a call from the building, and they go, Kenny, there's a drain that's giving us an issue, and this is an annual thing, it seems to be. We were wondering if you could come by and snake it. And like my wife's in labor. I don't know if the labor is going to be 24 hours or 3. I have no idea. I did what every good husband and good plumber would do. I said, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow morning. Thinking to myself, bro, I'm about to ruin a relationship with the one building that's talking to me, because if my wife doesn't give birth, I'm not leaving. You know what I'm saying? Peeps, Kenny Molotov, please check out MolotovPlumbingAcademy.com for courses that are specifically designed to help you succeed in your plumbing apprenticeship. Also, join our newsletter down below, because there are going to be a lot of really interesting projects I'm going to be doing in the next little while. That way you can hear from them up front from me. You can get some pre-orders in if you're interested in that sort of stuff. And also just to find out if there's more content coming out on the YouTube channel. So I wanted to kind of wrap up 2024 with a couple of different videos, and this is one of them. And the video that I wanted to say was the scariest job that I had in 2024. I had a couple of nail-biting moments this year, but I know one takes the cake, and I just kind of wanted to share that conversation with you, because if you're in the service side of this industry, this is definitely something that could come your way, and it's a nice way to remember, hey, it happens to everybody, and also, hey, it's survivable. You're not going to die just because it ended up happening. So let me tell you a little bit of a preface. I've been in conversation with this one building for quite a bit of time. I ended up bidding on a job, getting a backflow preventer to installing that backflow preventer. Everything went well. I felt like I ended up building some pretty decent relationships with the superintendent and also the property manager. Everything was going really good. And there was some small conversations that were taking place about, would you be interested in being our plumber to take care of our, servicing, this sort of thing. And that is the sort of thing that's quite a blessing to a plumbing company, right? Getting your foot in your first building, a big deal. So I've obviously said yes. I gave them ample warning of like, listen, if you ever need anything, as weird as it is, as small as it is, give me a shout. 24 hours, anytime, I'll be there, sort of thing. So I remember getting an email a couple of weeks before saying, Kenny, would you be willing to be our plumber? What are your rates? This and that. This was a couple weeks before my wife is due on our second child, just last February. A couple of weeks goes by, and February was super dead this year, like scary dead. It was crickets. Like nobody had work. I was talking to people across Ontario, across my province, and nobody had work. So when I got that email, I was like, oh my goodness, like this would be perfect. But, the timing around my wife's labor, so I kid you not, my wife goes into labor, and that very same night, like we're going to the hospital, and I get a call from the building, and they go, Kenny, there's a drain that's giving us an issue, and this is an annual thing, it seems to be. We were wondering if you could come by and snake it. And like my wife's in labor. I don't know if the labor is going to be 24 hours or 3. I have no idea. I did what every good husband and good plumber would do. I said, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow morning. Thinking to myself, bro, I'm about to ruin a relationship with the one building that's talking to me, because if my wife doesn't give birth, I'm not leaving. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna leave. Like I'm gonna stay until my child is born, and then I'll go to the building, sort of thing. That's what was going into my head. Thankfully, my wife gave birth that very same night. We're blessed with our second child. The following morning, I end up going to this building. So anyways, I've been working for this building now for close to, let's say, 9 months, sort of thing, right? Like a really good chunk of time. They've given me some decent, consistent work. The relationship with them seems to be really good right now, knock on wood. Like, I'm very happy. But here's what ends up happening. Long story, okay? I end up getting a call because somebody's toilet flushed on its own. This is very rare. And it wasn't because the fill valve was leaking or the flapper was leaking. The toilet flushed. And as soon as I heard that, I said to the person I was speaking to, I said, look, that might be an indication that your stack is clogged. Because toilets flushing, like actually going, like doing a full discharge, that is not common. That's very rare. That shouldn't happen on its own. It filling up, there are a couple of reasons why it could fill up on its own. But it flushing, that's a phenomena that points to a very specific thing. So I am planning to go there the following day and do some investigation. I get a call that night saying our toilet just backed up. Like it came out onto the floor. So the suspicion that I had was correct. It was just this thing happened way before we were kind of expecting it to. So I got dispatched that night. I ended up snaking that drain, cleaning it all up. It happened again. I ended up coming back and snaking the drain again, flushing it. It was good for 2-3 months. And then I got a call back again. They said it's happening again. So at this point, we've exhausted all of our avenues. I've already snaked it yet again a couple of times and it was still happening. So I said to them, listen, we don't have a choice. We have to jet this stack. Jetter is a special tool that sprays out high pressure, high PSI with water, and it sprays down the walls of this pipe to clean it up first of all and also flush out all the debris. I ended up buying this tool just for this job this year. I just get this slick new jetter, Rigid 1750, for those of you that know jetters. I send it into the stack. It doesn't go very far. I eventually figure out that it has to go down another section to go even further. It goes down this other section. We're going really good. I'm sending this thing through. It is finally doing what we've been trying to make it do. Normally when you feed a jetter, you're going in and out a few times to spray down that section, and you do the same thing, and then you do the same thing, and all of a sudden it goes down, and I pull, and it's not budging at all. It's not budging. So I'm like, maybe it just needs to go a bit further. Maybe it's tangled. Maybe it'll untangle itself as I go further. No, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. So at some point, like I'm gassed, I don't have any energy anymore, and this jetter is all the way in the pipe. And it ain't coming back to me. It's jammed inside there. And I end up calling the super and asking him for a hand, and he comes, and he's a good sport and all that. And then we just are stuck with the circumstance that we have my jetter stuck in the pipe, and it's not coming out. So here's something that you have to understand about this situation. This situation's bad to begin with. The worry becomes even more so because the building that I'm working in, it has a very large Jewish population there. And within the next couple of days is their Jewish holiday, Rosh Hashanah, that if anything were to happen, we're going to cause a big ordeal to a very big population inside this building. Okay. And we've been already worried about this week because normally these big holidays, you bring your families over, people are cooking 2 or 3 days in advance to make sure they can have food ready for everybody. Like, it's a huge deal. Now my jetter is stuck and we're only 1 day away from Rosh Hashanah. Like, we are on the verge of this Jewish holiday. I end up spending the entire night with the superintendent tracing pipes. The entire night. I left there at 9:30, 10 p.m. that night because all we did was cut 1,000 holes inside a bunch of different drywall in the garage searching for these pipes. And it wasn't until like 9 p.m. when we were just about to say, you know what, we got to continue this tomorrow, that we find the pipe. We find the pipe in an area that's not ideal because there's got a lot of foot traffic there, but at least we know what pipe it's in. So the following day, I'm up early. I get home like at 11 p.m. I'm up for 6 and I'm out the door to go back to the same building. The following morning, I get to the parking lot of the building and I'm laying there like this, just exhausted. You know, it's 7 a.m. and the property manager shows up. I hop out of my car and she looks at me, she goes, "What's going on?" I give her the quickest version of it. I said, "Listen, my jetter is stuck inside that pipe. I know exactly what pipe it is. We got to do an emergency shutdown." And she looks at me and she goes, "All right. We're doing an emergency shutdown." And what I really loved about her in that situation was like, she was so practical and she was so like decisive. She's like, "Go, get it done." Did a building shutdown. I ended up putting up all my plastic, cutting my hole, taking out the pipe, finding my jetter inside, taking it out in one piece, by the way. It didn't come out damaged or anything like that. It came out just fine. It just got tangled, which is the most horrific thing that could happen to your brand new tool. It is sparkling new. Not anymore. It was just in a drain, but you know what I'm saying. I ended up putting back the pipe, testing the pipe, and then I had to pay for all those damages. All those holes that were cut, all the paint that was needed, all the drywall that was done, that was on my company. But we had to get it done. And Rosh Hashanah was full force. Everybody got to spend time with their families. There were no more water interruptions. I'm happy because when it was happening, it was like my world was falling apart. I had never had this happen to me before. It was the scariest circumstance that you can put me under, especially because of the time of the year where everybody in the building, or the majority of the building, is putting pressure on you because they expect water. Normally when you do a water shutdown, you got to give some sort of notice, at least 24 hours notice. In this emergency, we weren't able to do that, and the superintendent, bless his soul, and I bought him lunch twice for this. He got blasted a few times by a few different tenants. And I can totally appreciate what they're going through, but they don't understand that there's a major issue here and it needs to happen. So anyways, the superintendent was a good sport. Property manager had my back. Scariest thing that can happen under the most amount of pressure. But when it was go time, that hole was cut, that hallway was cleaned up, cast iron 90 was taken out, put back in. I had MJ clamps ready to go. Yo, it was a mission. It was a mission, but it got done, but it was terrifying. You know what I mean? And I just want to tell you all out there, when you're in the thick of it, when something goes awry, I don't know if this is the same for you, but I feel like such an amateur. And I'm so afraid everybody around me is looking at me like an amateur. But the only thing you could do in those circumstances is rely upon what you already know and the data you've already gotten. All you can do is rely upon that and the skill and the muscle memory. And when it was go time, thankfully, my body performed the way it needed, which meant it was very professional. And we had the water on within a couple of hours. You know what I mean? It wasn't a whole day ordeal without water. So we managed to do a good job, even though it was a horrible situation. You know what I mean? We managed to make it right. Going forward now, the next time I have to use my jetter, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the jetter hose and I'm going to put tape around it every 5 or 10 feet so that I can trace in my mind how far my hose has to go. Because I think what ended up happening is it was in a 4-inch pipe for around 60 feet. And once I passed that 60-foot mark, we went into an 8-inch pipe. And it's not designed for that large diameter, and I think it was going into that diameter that made it start twisting and turning and sort of thing, and tangling itself. So that's what we have to prepare, and that's what I learned. That from now on, I have to have some sort of marker that tells me the distance I'm going and to know when to stop. Because the machine is not designed for something down further sort of thing. And that was a great lesson, and maybe that's going to be useful to you, all of you that are interested in doing drains and jetting and that sort of thing. And man, it was a mission, but we got it done. I still have a good relationship with everybody. They still trust me. Knock on wood. It was a mission. It was fun. Maybe not fun. It was a mission though. So happens to the best of us. And I remember like a month later, I was on Instagram and I saw another company have a similar situation happen to them, but not with a jetter, but with a snake. And I almost had a snake do that to me this year as well. Man, it's been a weird one for drain machines and jetters, but I saw that it happened to another plumbing company. And it's in those moments that I go, okay, so I'm not the amateur, you know what I mean? Like, these things happen and you can't really control it, and hopefully it's a rare occurrence. Fingers crossed, man. So peeps, that's a little bit of knowledge for you. That's a little bit of drama. That is the scariest job that I had this year. That was a nail biter. That was one where I didn't know if I'd have the building by the end of it. You know, I was scared, but they stuck by me. I feel very blessed. They've treated me really well. They're good people, and I'm hoping that we can move forward and continue working there, you know, like so far so good sort of thing. So peeps, thanks for watching. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification so you know exactly when we're getting videos. Smash that thumbs up, share with friends, and I'll see you plumbers very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.